Have you asked advice on how you can help your child improve in dance? And the answer you receive is more ballet classes, more ballet, more ballet, more ballet. But maybe your child doesn't want to take more ballet, or maybe there isn't more offered around you, or you're in already a lot of ballet classes and you're still not quite seeing the change you'd like to see. Hello and welcome back to Dance Colleges and Careers. I'm your host, Brittany Noltzmeyer, and this is the podcast where we talk about all things dance, colleges, and careers. Today's episode it's not about more class. It's about how you take class. Just got home from nationals a couple days ago, and I saw somebody post on Facebook of a parent who's like, I just don't understand. Some of you parents of really advanced dancers, maybe the ones who are always getting top 3. How is your dancer so good? As a parent, I feel like I'm doing everything for my child. They're at the studio every single day. They're in every class they can possibly be in. We go to these extra competitions, these extra conventions. But why is your kid coming in first and my kid is not? And is it realistic? Can my child ever reach that level of potential? I know that's kind of like a really sickening feeling. And it also stems from comparing ourselves to others and comparing ourselves on social media, because on our socials pages, I don't know about you, but I follow a lot of dancers, and I'm following dancers who are top of the line, who are the top in their profession. Their technique is impeccable. They are the famous people on TV. They are the top % of dancers. And that can be very upsetting as you're scrolling through. It's the constant comparison. And it can really put you in a bad place or a bad funk and start to feel like that will never be attainable for me. It is awesome that we have that as a resource to learn, maybe pick up an extra skill here or there to see and believe what could be in our future. But it's also very discouraging when we're constantly comparing ourselves to the top %. And then I heard this the other day, somebody goes, you have to stop comparing your journey to somebody else's perfect finished product, right? The social media posts, sometimes they share the in-between, but it's usually the perfect finished product. It's not the 200 times leading up to that when they're still trying to accomplish the move. I know that's where we're at right now. We're comparing ourselves to others. We're comparing our children to others, and a little frustrated, not sure if our child ever is going to make it. So we get those insecurities. We understand where they're coming from. But then when we ask our community, when we ask other people what they're doing, the answer everybody says is more ballet classes. More. So I'm here to debunk the myth of you constantly need to be doing more and understand how you can get the most out of what you're already doing. We often think that more hours will equal more results. More hours at the studio will make us better on stage. But you've seen your dancer take 20 plus hours a week and still stall. So what is going on, and what do they actually need to change? So dancers, what are you doing in the hours you already have? You can definitely tell the work ethic just by stepping through the door. So some places are more about fun, okay? They want the dancers to come in. They want them to spend more time together as a community. There is more talking in the classroom, more joking around, having fun with each other. And that is more the norm because they want that lighthearted environment. Then there's other studios you go to where you walk in and you do not say a word. The teacher is the only one who speaks. If you do, you are completely out of line, and it is all about work. Obviously, as I say it to those two extremes, a little bit in the middle would be ideal, but what are you doing in the hours you already have? So moving on to, what do great students actually do? You know, the ones who's the parents say more ballet. But really, what are they doing? They're probably showing up early. They're more focused. They're warmed up. They're not coming in the door late and a little bit lost in their day. They're applying corrections, all corrections, general notes, what the teacher says to every student, not only the ones where they specifically hear their name. They rehearse full out. Even when they're told they can mark, they're the ones who still go the extra mile when everybody else is doing the bare minimum. They take class like it's performance. Because it is. Yes, because it is. When I was taking ballet every single day, if I would show up to class right on time, absolutely no preparation, it would take me a long time before I actually felt warmed up for the class. I injured my groin when I was in high school by doing like a switch split when I wasn't totally warmed up. So what I learned is that I have to show up to ballet class early and I have to get in a center stretch. I need to work through my muscles enough to be able to stretch that before we go into our very first demi-plie. And that came up because of a previous injury. If I did not show up early and I didn't get my first couple stretches in, then it would take me a really long time before I even felt confident in anything at the bar. I actually have 3 things I need to do before ballet. I need some ab work so that I can control my center even from the very first exercise in ballet. I need the runner stretch to stretch out underneath the front of my leg and the psoas as we get to batmas and the arabesque to the back. And then I also needed a center split stretch. And even if I plopped down in these for just 20 seconds, my class would be so much better than doing nothing. And that's what I learned, what I needed to do to always have a better class. And I could feel it 100%. If I did not do any ab work, then I was loosey-goosey, and this just took me a lot longer to learn how to engage throughout the class. I needed those 3 things to get started in dance class, and I got a lot more out of my class than not doing the 3 things that I personally needed. So now let's talk about you. How does this relate to what you need? Where do your biggest insecurities lie? What in class is going on that makes you go, oh no, everybody else is so much better at me than this? And it just brings you down. Well, it doesn't really help when you're in class and you're constantly bringing yourself down. Yeah, we want to speak kindly to ourselves. Even when we're stretching, you don't want to be all tense and pushing yourself away going, oh, I'm just not good at this. I'm not good at this. It will not help you improve your stretching faster. But if you talk kindly to yourself, I sound crazy when I'm stretching and when I'm teaching stretching, but it works. It totally works. So when I'm leaning forward and trying to stretch down into my knees, I breathe through it, speak kindly to the backs of my legs and the parts that are just hurting that day. I speak kinder to it and breathe into it to get better rather than holding the tension and resisting and pushing myself away. But I want to move into something specific I saw at Nationals last week because I mentioned this and I said, rehearse full out even when you're told you can mark. Okay, so last week at Nationals, there had already been some solos that had gone and competed, and I was sitting in on one of the rehearsals or one of the classes that takes place at Nationals. The whole group wasn't there, so they really didn't need to run the whole number full out yet. It really was more for their brains. But the more I watched, there was one student who still did it full out. And not like it was a burden, just they danced full out for them. And it wasn't to impress the teachers. It wasn't to impress anyone else around there. It was just how this student takes class. They dance full out. And I was watching this student in comparison to everybody else who's marking arms. By the way, you're never supposed to be marking arms. Even when a teacher says this is a mark, you're not marking your arms like this. That is still always full out. But this student was completely full out. They didn't need to be. They were not asked to be. But that is how they take class. And if you go to the lineup of who was in the top 10 and who got first place, that kid got first place. Okay? There are so many amazing, talented dancers at competition. Just placing at all at Nationals is incredible. But to be there watching how that student learns and then see them on stage do an excellent job, but they locked it in and they got first. That doesn't just happen. That happens because the work ethic in the classroom is that of a first place dancer. So if you want to be a first place dancer, you need to step it up in the studio. There were many other dancers who are still very good, who were also marking because I get it. It's a long week and you need to save your energy for specific things. It wasn't a burden for him to dance full out. It was what he needed. It's what he wanted to do. It's what he wanted to do to be better on stage. It's what he wanted to do to be better as a person. And that's what makes a first place dancer. How they rehearse in the practice room, because that's where we are 98% of our lives. And the stage is only 3 minutes of those hours and hours of rehearsal. I thought it was remarkable. I thought it was the best example I ever could have seen for this, of how do you take class and how does that prove what you deserve in the lineup. It's not like the people teaching the class were not judges. It was completely separate, but it's just the work ethic and how a student gets from here to here. I just thought he proved it. I thought he was saying, you guys are wondering how this works. This is what you do. This is how you work to get there. Because I thought that very regular, that very normal thing for him to do. It was so normal for him to be full out. And it was so normal for everyone else to mark. What is your norm? And it's not too late to change what your norm is. It's not too late. Okay, so what can you do this week? First, pick 1 to 2 classes to commit to mentally showing up 100%. To show up 100% mentally, you must have enough sleep, you must have eaten, and you must choose to show up. Remember, eating does not mean going to McDonald's. Eating means you have to fuel your body with nutrients to provide you with the energy you need to be at your best. When you're younger, it can be easy to just get fast food and be like, oh, I feel fine on this. I'm full. I feel great. That's all I need. But that's really not true. That is not supporting your body. It's not fueling you the way you need to work your hardest. Okay, here's the next thing you can do. Choose one correction and hyper-focus on applying it consistently. Consistently throughout class. If your teacher gives you feedback to roll your shoulders back and down and stand with good posture, don't just do that during the one exercise. Try to do that throughout the entire class consistently so that you can start to actually correct your correction. So I want you to use your words, journal or track how you felt in class. Energy, focus, attitude. If you start falling out of all your turns, does it start to give you a bad attitude and go, I'm just having a bad turning day today? Well, why are we having a bad turning day? Is it because we didn't do what we needed for our energy, focus, and attitude? Okay. So rather than just saying, oh, well, it's just bad today. Let's say you forgot to eat before you went into class. Okay. Now we recognize that we're shaky and out of control when we don't eat before class. So now we know next time to pack some sort of snack in our bag so that we can be energized, focused, and have a good attitude in class. Okay, and then here is a great bonus, but I know this one is really, really hard. Try watching other dancers and learn from them without being told. So in the mirrors, we're always looking at ourselves, or we look at others and we might have eyes of judgment. But what you really need to be doing is watching others going, it's interesting how they did that, or how that transition was so smooth and seamless. How is it so much easier for them than it is for me? Watch, study, and learn from those who are better than you. It can be so easy to get in our heads when somebody is better than us. It can make us kind of freak out and get nervous that we're no longer the best. But actually, it's amazing if you're not the best one in class, because then you do have someone to look to. Sometimes it's your teacher, right? Sometimes your teacher is still extremely in shape and very technical and exquisite, and that's what you can see. You can learn from them. Also, it's great if you can look to somebody else in your class, or even if you're usually better in this area, but maybe they're a better turner than you, watch and see what's different for them, rather than just saying, oh, well, she's just better at that than me. No, we're here to learn. We're here for the journey. Watch and learn. So if this episode made you rethink how you take class, I have a free guide for you that breaks it all down. It's the top 5 ways to take class like a pro. You can grab it now at my website, which is just my name, BrittanyNoltemeyer.com/67. Because this is episode 67, feel free to go grab that. Okay, and I have one more exciting thing. If you are serious about transforming your performance game, the Fame Academy is where we go deep on this. So the doors open in October, and it only happens one time a year. So the waitlist is open at my name, my website, BrittanyNoltemeyer.com/fame. So let's get to work. Thank you so much for being here on this episode of Dance Colleges and Careers. This topic about how you take class is a total game changer. This can make or break you. So choose to come to class energized, focused, and with a great attitude. And you're going to start taking class like a pro. See you next time. Be brave, tell your story, and own the stage.